Welcome to the Voice of Oneness, your call to awaken. This show is your call to awaken to the truth of your being through the teachings of the Voice of Oneness, spoken by Amara. On this show, you will receive spiritual guidance and the teachings of oneness from the heart of spirit directly to your heart, along with the tools and techniques to apply these teachings to your day-to-day life. Tuning in each week, you will grow in a deeper, richer understanding of your true nature as teachings are offered about universal spiritual laws that govern our lives. You will learn the right use and application of these laws to achieve the richest life from the perspective of experiencing abundance in all areas of your life. Amara Bonet is a renowned psychic, spiritual teacher, coach, energy healer, mystic, and gifted visionary who taps into the higher realms to join with the vast collective of source energy. Now, your host of Voice of Oneness, Amara Bonet.
Hey, good evening, friends, and welcome to the Voice of Oneness, your call to awaken podcast. I am your host, Amara Bonet, and I am so grateful that you've joined me here this evening and answered your call to awaken. We have a great show today, and I'm excited to join with you. On this podcast, you'll receive spiritual guidance. The teachings presented are from the Voice of Oneness as it flows to and through me as a stream of consciousness. This stream of consciousness is that which I connect to, just like we breathe, the breath. I'm connecting to that consciousness most of the time, unless I actively choose to place my focus somewhere else and disconnect. But even at that, it's still kind of in the background, but it's just always a free flow. So know that when you're asking a question, I'm answering a question, or anything that's coming forth is coming forth from the stream of consciousness. Okay. So I also want to say, because I've had a lot of comments come in about asking questions and trying to type it in the chat. And some of you seem to have some difficulty typing your questions in the comment section. If that should occur, you can send your questions directly to www.askamora.com. I'm reading that from on the screen. It's Amora at amorabonet.com. That's my email. There we go. Old habits. amorabonet.com. So I'm monitoring that as we speak. So I will look over, and you see me look to the side. I'm actually looking at the screen to see if your comments are coming through. But first, try to put them in through the comment section on the chat. It might go through fine tonight, but in the past, some of you have said that you were viewing it, I don't know, maybe on YouTube or one of the other platforms, and it was not as easy as you thought it would be. So go ahead and feel free to send it to the email as well. And when I say questions, it's questions and comments, because as we're bringing these teachings forth, I want to make it as simple and easy as possible. So if we're saying something and we're feeling that this is a very simple form of what we're trying to say, and it's just not sitting right, you got some questions about it, please don't hesitate to ask for clarification, because this is here for you so that you get the deepest possible understanding that you can. And I don't want it to go by and then that's, oh, I should have asked for clarification. I want to make sure you understand everything that's presented here. So that goes for those that are live with me tonight and those that are going to be listening to the recording. If you're listening to the recording and something comes up, you'd like some clarification or a different question comes up, please send me that email and I will respond to the email either before the show or after the next show. So before or after the next show. So before meaning I'll respond by sending you an email response, or I'll actually do it live on the next show. So please, please, please enter into dialogue. Okay, that makes it a fuller, richer experience for everyone. Everyone. So as we begin tonight, what I'd like to do is have everybody for a moment just close the eyes, and let's join in resonance there. Let's take a nice deep breath in, breathe, hold that breath, and then release that breath. Take another nice deep breath in, hold that breath, and as you hold the breath, set your intention for tonight's show. What would you like to receive? And release the breath. Take one more nice deep breath in, hold, and then release that breath. Okay, so tonight's topic, a new year, a new you. Do you know who you are? Let's start with the new year. The new year, 2023. Now, if we add the numbers in the year together and we follow the system of numerology, we have a 7. 2 plus 2 plus 3 equals 7. 7 is known to be a spiritual number. It's a spiritual number. It's a number that represents inquiry, to analyze, to inquire, to research. It represents strength. It is also the connectedness to the divine, the awakening, the seeker of truth. And more than that, it's an opportunity now in this new year. The energetic grids of the earth have shifted in such a way that there's an opening for what is the potential for a mass awakening. And when I say awakening, it's an understanding of that which we are in our connection to the source of which created us. Doesn't mean every single being on the planet awakens. It means the potential's there for a greater awakening. There's more availability of different teachers, different assistants, different spiritual guidance, such as this show and the other shows like this. And every day there's a new book being published by an author on some spiritual topic. So there's a huge amount of availability for those that are seeking to connect with exactly what they need in the moment, to continue their expansion of consciousness, to continue your understanding, to deepen your awareness, that which you are, that which we all are. So at this time, we have the 7. So the 7 is that time for that inquiry. It's that time, that opportunity energetically to swim within that and to really connect in the possibilities, the potentials that are there more freely. So it'll open to us. It'll be available. We'll come into the awareness within ourselves as we seek, as we read a book, as we have a conversation with someone, as we listen to a podcast. So we are continuing to grow individually. And as we grow individually, it grows collectively. So we are raising the frequency, we're raising the consciousness on the planet. We're becoming more aware that we are interconnected, that we are part of a whole. We're not just separate individuals trying to make it through the day, but we're part of a greater whole, interconnected web of creation that's not just human form, but all kingdoms, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, all of the kingdoms of creation, we are interconnected with. We are never disconnected from. We are always connected to. And we're beginning to open up to that at greater and greater proportions of individuals. So it's not just a select few. It's not those that are sitting in the mountains in the Himalayas in a cave. They're projecting that energy out to help make way for all to rise up. But now we get to rise up in mass. That's an exciting time. So I want to recall that when we're hearing some news that's being broadcast that's a downer. Do you do any channeling on this show? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we're doing. Okay, Casey, nice of you to join us this evening. Okay, so anything that's a downer, remind yourself that you are part of that whole. Okay, that you are part of that whole, always connecting to. So, as we go to the new year, that number 7, and it's that spiritual year, it's a time of growth through the process of evolving in human form beyond the limitations, the breaking of boundaries, the shattering of resistance to change, upheaval of old patterns to be dismantled as the way is made for new energy and up leveling. So, old patterns, things are going to start to come up and arise within your awareness. You're going to start to have flashes of different memories that you've had that are coming up for you to view in the current energy so that you can tend to what you need to tend to and perhaps heal what needs to be healed. And it's going to start coming faster and faster and faster. We're going to move through it. I'd like some energy checking if you have some time. Second half of the show, Casey, absolutely, absolutely. Casey would like some checking. Second half of the show, we'll go through and check your energy. Uh, so that, and what it is now is we have the new you. The new you, the new year. This is the year of the 7. This is the spiritual year. This is the time of up-leveling, unfolding. This is the time that holds great potential for awakening. And as we awaken, we want to remember that awakening is a process. As we open the heart and we start to experience ourself. Then when we say, who am I? Who am I is a spiritual question. It's an inquiry. And it's asking, who am I that's having this thought? Who am I? Who is here? And it takes us deeper, a more introspective and a more searching within to the connection to that which we are to experience on new levels. Not just who am I in terms, good evening, Shari. Nice to have you with us. Not just on the level of I am my physical identity. I am my name, my lineage, my job, all the things I believe about myself. That's roles we play in life. That has nothing to do with which we truly are. We are spirit having a human experience, all coming forth from the one creator. All sparks, if we can imagine sparks of light bursting forward, all individuated consciousness having an experience. So we're here to experience life. Experience life, experience love, the love of which we are, and open up the heart and allow ourselves to love and to be loved. That's what we're here to do. That's the new you. The new you is coming to the awareness that you have choice. You have what's called a choice point. So in each and every breath, there's a choice to be made. Am I going to choose to move forward in loving action? Or am I going to choose to experience that which I've been experiencing? That may not be in the field of love. It may be in fear, as there is a tremendous amount of fear around the globe at this time that we can all see clearly as projected through the media. So when we realize that we are source energy here in a physical body, and we get to choose where we place our attention, and we get to grow and develop as we choose. And once we choose to experience love, that's where we place our attention. And then we start to act from that place in a loving manner. We start to take a look within as things occur in our life, and we start to question. As I am working with clients in my spiritual coaching practice, the very first thing on the very first call that we discuss is something that I call, this is the mantra that says, everything begins and ends with me. And I say that as you're listening to these words rolling off my lips at this moment, it holds a meaning. And that meaning is temporary because that meaning is going to grow. It's going to continue to take on new meaning. But right here, right now, it's to realize everything begins with you means your choice point. You get to choose from this moment forward. And we go into the moment and we say, this moment is all that exists in the reality. My past are moments that have gone by. That's already energy that's been spent. I can't respend it. It's already spent. It's already passed. But I have my awareness in the moment. So from this moment forward, I choose the direction of which I am going to experience my life. So it begins and ends with me as I am choosing based on what I'm believing about myself. And I come into an understanding through the teaching that my beliefs, what I truly believe, which I may not even be aware of, many, many, many times believe that we're believing one way, but our subconscious is not on the same page. We may be believing that we feel good about ourselves. We may be believing that we don't have self-doubt, that we're strong and confident, but yet we're not in this physical world experiencing the outcome that matches that belief. We may be struggling in our life to manifest. We may be struggling in our life in areas of relationship. We may be struggling in areas of finance, whatever it may be, that has some underlying belief that's not congruent with what we are desiring or believing about ourselves. So when we take that inquiry and we start to reflect on what we are holding within, it is automatically set in motion to begin to reveal what it is that we are holding inside. What is our belief? It comes up. We can have an argument with somebody and be so frustrated and so angry. And then as we are washing the dishes, all of a sudden a thought comes into our head. Boom. And we go, oh my gosh, that's what I was believing. I want to change the circumstance. And this came up in a coaching call as well. Somebody wanted to change their circumstance. They didn't like what they were living. And they had an argument with a family member. And through that argument, when they were washing dishes, it came up that, oh, I can't leave because if I leave, what will they do without me? So then there was an instant awareness at that moment is, oh my gosh, look what I'm believing. I'm thinking in my conscious mind that I want to be someplace else. I'm thinking, oh, it's time to go. but I can't seem to go. I can't seem to make it manifest. And the reason they couldn't seem to make it manifest is because they're holding on to the belief that they can't go or everything's going to fall apart without them. That's an example. So now, once you come to the knowing, you've got that understanding. Okay, I've nailed it. I know what's going on. Now I can tend to that. Now I can start to affirm within my mind, using my mind, because the mind is the controlling aspect here. It's the protector, it's the ego. So we can talk to it, we say, okay, we got this. We know what this is. We can say, okay, it's okay that I leave. All is well. All is always guided and protected by the source that created us. I am not the savior. I don't need to be here. When I feel it's time to move on, it's to move on. That's okay to move on. And I can affirm that. And then I can begin to enter into the visioning process of that, using the imagination. And where am I moving on to? What is it I wish to experience? And I begin to grow that. And then that will manifest in my experience once I no longer have that block that says, oh, I can't leave because everything will fall apart without me. And that's just an example. That's someone's example. We all have our own individual experiences that we're having. We're all in the process of healing. And if we weren't, our feet wouldn't be on the earth. So know that we're all in the process, and it's a process. It's ongoing. It's ever experiencing of the next greatest iteration of ourselves. We are always growing and expanding, and we've all got that which is within us, which we've come to release. And once we release and say we release all that's within us, well, then we start working on the collective. Then we start helping others release. So know that there's always work to be done. It's not let me know what I need to know so that I can get this over with and be done. There is no done. There is the constant evolution, the constant movement, the constant ongoing. So we're always in the practice of experiencing ourselves in the moment, because we can't experience ourselves outside of what our container can hold. And when I say that, it means outside of where we are in the moment in consciousness. Our awareness of ourself, our awareness of our abilities to manifest, our understanding of the true nature of our being, all that comes into play when we look at where we are within our consciousness. So we can't take these quantum leaps of consciousness and jettison ourselves into higher dimensional experiences unless we've prepared and we hold readiness, or else it's not going to happen. That's a total misunderstanding that many people unfortunately spend their time investing in, and they get emotionally invested in it. And it's not going with what is the way for everyone, meaning you are the determining factor. You get to choose, you must choose. No one can choose for you. No one can give something to you that you don't open to. So no one can add anything to you or take anything away from you. You are already created. You're not creating something new. You are created. And you can say, as I sit here and I breathe in this breath, am I breathing myself? Am I remembering to take a breath? No. I'm automatically being breathed. So that which is breathing me is that which created me. So I can say, I didn't create myself. So if I'm experiencing in life, whatever it is, say, my hand is in the mix, okay? I am creating the experience that I'm having. Now, do I need to have this experience? Who decides that? Not that which created you, because that which created you already created you whole, already created you as love, already created by love as love to experience love. But I'm not experiencing that, you may say. I'm experiencing pain and I'm struggling. And say, yes, okay. And that's real. That's real. In this reality, in the experience that you're having, it's real for you. But does that mean that that's your permanent address? Does that mean that that's who you are? That this is your lot in life? This is where that you've got to stay? No. It means that once you're going through this pain and struggle and you become aware of, oh my gosh, there's more. There's more. And usually that's when people open up to step onto a spiritual path and they start to study and journey and learn the true nature of their being and learn that they hold the power of choice and learn that they are one with the divine that created them. And they hold that power to create as co-creators. And we're creating all the time. When we're suffering, we call those miscreations. It's the creative power that we're using, but it is not connected purely with the source. Therefore, we're not creating that which is in the field of love. I hope that's making sense. So know that we're always creating. So when we ask, who am I? It's not to get the deepest possible perspective, as if we're going in and we're doing this constant study, and everything we do every day, we're asking, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? This is a study and practice that many monks do, but they are not necessarily living in the world. They are many times in seclusion when they're asking this question and doing this. They call it, I think, believe a sadhana. They're doing that study. They're doing the study to ask, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? But when we begin to ask, who am I? And say, okay, what do I know? If I'm going to get real, what do I know? I know there's more to me than I understand. Because many times I can say in my life, I feel lost. I get confused. I get frustrated. And then there are other times when I am absolutely exuberant. I am so filled with joy and love, and I'm having the most blissed out experience. So I'm all those things as I'm experiencing life in a physical body. But as I get to understand and I begin to reflect, I go deeper into becoming the sovereign being that I am. I get an understanding. I grow in understanding and compassion. And I grow in love, in self-love, and in love of the whole. Because I realize as I'm growing in self-love, that I cannot be separated from any part of creation. It's not a possibility. And now we can say that here, and we're all at different levels of awareness within our consciousness. So it holds different meaning to each of us. It holds the meaning. Now, this meaning that it holds, this is, we can say it, and it's a concept. It's what we call a truth principle. So it's always true. It cannot be not true. It's unmutable. It cannot be anything but what it is. And then we have that which is provisional truth. And we call the provisional truth that which we're believing in the moment, that which makes sense to us, that which I'm going to say, that's my truth. That's what I believe. That's what I understand. That when you ask me, this is how I'm going to respond to you. I'm going to give you my truth. That's my truth in the moment. That's not the absolute truth. The absolute truth is always that which stands alone, never needs protecting, never needs anyone to go to battle for it. It simply will always be. It doesn't change. It's unchangeable. The provisional truth, that's changeable. That changes when new evidence is brought on the scene, when we come to a new understanding, when we're reading something, maybe a spiritual text, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and we have an aha moment, an epiphany. Aha, I get it. I get it. I didn't get it before, but I got it now. Now our truth begins to shift because we have new evidence now. And now we're seeing from a different perspective. So we are awareness. When I say, who am I? I'm awareness. I'm aware that I'm breathing. I'm aware that I have a physical body. I'm spirit in this body, very much aware that I have a nervous system. And that doesn't exist in the spirit realm. But the nervous system does exist in our physical body. We get to experience nervousness, anxiety. We get to experience what it feels like to be fearful. We get to experience that. And that's a beautiful thing. But when we're experiencing it, it's to say, okay, this is an experience. This is temporary. This does not define me. This is an experience. I'm choosing, for whatever the reason may be. We're not going to go into the depth of the reasoning behind it. But if it's in your life, it's because you've chosen it based on what you're holding inside of you, which is your belief. You're holding that belief, therefore, that's what's emanating from you is the energy of that belief. And the law states like energy attracts like energy. It can be no other way. Did you ever try to take a magnet and and we give it to the opposite end and we try to bring it together? It repels. We have the positive and the negative. Okay, if we try to bring them together, they repel. So like energy attracts like energy. It can be no other way. So if I'm experiencing something in my life, I've got some skin in the game, so to speak, because I've got my energy there. So I cannot look at it and say, oh, it's the fault of everything around me. It's the outside world. It's everybody else who's so messed up. If it's experiencing in your life, you've got some connection to it. Now, this is not a blaming. It's not something to misunderstand and say, oh, if I'm experiencing this, I must be a pretty wrong individual. No, not at all. It means somewhere you're holding something inside of you that's incongruent with the true nature of your being. The true nature of your being is you are divine light. You are love. You were created by love, as love, to experience love. So when you are experiencing that which is outside of the field of love, now I'm not congruent. Now I have to have an experience in my body, and that nervous system is going to kick up. I'm not going to feel balanced. I'm going to feel out of sync. My emotions are going to come on board, and I'm going to have an emotional reaction, which is letting me know as I'm experiencing this and it's not feeling good, I've stepped out of the love. That's all it means. That's plain and simple. Simple explanation. I stepped out. All I need to do to rectify this is to step back in. Step back in. So I'm believing something about myself that's less than love. If I'm believing that I'm a failure, let's say, an example. If I'm believing I'm a failure, I don't have any meaning, I don't know my life purpose, I'm lost, I'm alone. Those are all low vibrating frequency. Those are low vibrating energy. And say, okay, this does not feel good. I don't like this feeling. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this feeling. Let me begin to rise up. Let me begin to rise up. Let me take the statement of, I am a failure. I mean, I am in the process of experiencing myself in my greatness. And there's bumps along the road, and some parts don't feel so good. And I have different mishaps that happen, but it's the process of growth. I'm simply in a process of growth. I'm spirit experiencing life in a physical form. I'm growing. I'm learning. This is all part of the journey. And as we open up to that and accept that, now we begin to rise up in vibration. And as we begin to rise up, like energy attracts like energy. The thoughts we're holding, that's energy. We are electromagnetic beings. We draw to us magnetically that which we are holding the charge of. So as I change that thought, I'm changing the charge. I'm going to draw to me now that which is in likeness. So it's a higher vibrating thought as I begin to shift and change. The more that you do that, the more that you become aware of you hold the power to do it. The more it sits within you. Oh, I can change my life. I can have a different experience. Am unlimited. And we begin to go from what we call a victim consciousness to a by me consciousness. I'm not the victim of the world events. I'm not the victim of anything. I get the power of choice. I choose what I experience happens by me, not to me. To me is what I believed before I became awakened to my power of choice. Once I'm awakened to my power of choice, and I understand that everything begins and ends with me, then I'm going to step in and take responsibility for my energy. And I'm going to ask myself, what is it that I'm holding here in my consciousness? And we'll go deeper into that as we go along in each episode. But right here, right now, we're about to take a station break. And we'll be back for the second half of the show. And that's where we've got a request here for some checking in of energy. And we'll go ahead and do that. And then any questions that you might have, go ahead. And I see that the comments are working beautifully tonight. So go ahead and put them in the comments. I did have a question come in that I will address before we close tonight. There were two questions. One is, how do I know the messages I'm receiving are true and from higher consciousness? And I'm going to go in, and I had typed that answer out. It was rather lengthy when I sat and I received that this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. And then I have a question on for someone who's just beginning to walk their spiritual path. They're just beginning to open up. What book would I recommend for them? So I've got a book for that, a book recommendation. And then for somebody who's a little bit further along on the journey and they want to learn how to deeper connect to that which they are, how to come to a deeper understanding of the self, I have a book for that as well. So please stay with us. Join us at the second half of the show, and we are going to break for a station break and a word from our sponsors. Thanks.
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.
Okay, welcome back. Wow, those were some powerful sponsorships there. That's beautiful stuff going on. Some great shows on this radio station. So be sure to tune in to as many as you can. All for the uplifting and advancement of our collective consciousness. We want to be the change in the world that we want to see. So we have Casey here. Casey's asking for some energy checking. If you have some time. Okay, Casey. So are you asking for what's going on within you? I know there's a feature, and I haven't worked it out on this yet, where I can be in actual dialogue with you. So I'm just going to tune in to you for a moment. And it's hard understand this, Casey, it's hard when I'm not getting any feedback, but I'm going to just tune in because I'm not exactly sure where you're coming from. Okay, yes. Okay, you are asking that. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to tune into your energy. And this is a public show, so I'm not going to divulge too much here. Casey, are you trying to open up to different forces? Are you trying to open yourself up? Are you trying to channel? The reason I'm asking that is because I get a lot of. Please do. Okay. All right. Because as I'm doing this here, I've got some above the in the spiritual center here, the crown chakra. As I'm going through, I've got the sense, the feeling of wanting to open up. I've got the sense of feeling that there's an overlay over that, so it might not be coming through as clearly. I've also got this that it's backing up a bit. It's going down into the jaw. There's a lot of vibrating in the jaw. So vibrating in the jaw is energy wanting to move. So it's wanting to speak. Okay, but there's some energy on the top of as we're going through the crown that's not exactly um, feeling the absolute comfort there. There may be some a little a sense of I can get a little off balance sometimes. I'm not really sure what's going on. I want to go further with this. I want more. I want to experience more. And the energy I'm feeling, it's backing up in my body. So it's causing actually I can feel it in my jaw. It's very tense and it's vibrating. It wants to move. So what I suggest for you to do, and this is a quick checking in on your energy here. This isn't a full out reading, but what I suggest that you do is you practice grounding yourself, grounding your energy. And before you open up to do anything, go ahead and ground the energy, bring the light through and bring it through each and every one of your 7 main energy centers to clear, to cleanse and purify the energy within your centers to your current consciousness, in resonance with your current consciousness, the frequency of your current consciousness. And do that. And then say, okay, now I'm opening it. I understand that around me is this light. This light encircles me. It's all around me. I'm opening up to the light, and only that which is of that light comes through. Only that matches the pure intention held in my heart comes through. Okay, so I can sit in that light. I can open up. I've got that intention set within my heart. And now I move to the communication. Does that make sense, Casey? And definitely, I'm also receiving that when you're feeling off balance, when you're not like, we can call it off balance, we can have not having a good day or whatever it may be, don't look to communicate at that moment. Okay? Don't look to communicate. Don't look to open oneself up, but instead sit, close the eyes, bring the light within, focus, allow yourself just to meditate, just to experience, recall a memory that's one of love, of connection, and bring that in and bring it into the heart. That memory's there. As I'm sitting, I'm feeling that memory. I'm growing it, I'm growing it, I'm growing it, I'm growing until it bursts forth from my heart and goes out. So I'm clearing my field with love. I hope that makes sense. That's what's coming through for you at the moment. What's also coming through too is to understand that, as we talked about that savior, we are not here to tell anybody else how they should live life, or we're not here to save anyone. So that's important that we understand that when we're opening up. You're not here to impress anyone. You're not here to save anyone, but you're here to bless. You're here to be the blessing. And as you hold that as your intention in your heart, now you are grounded and now you are in the proper readiness to open. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So now I'm going to just check over here for a moment and see if there was another question that might have come through. As I understand, it's not always working here. Okay. There was also an incident that came up this week, and it was part of my meditation group. And it was somebody that was experiencing in prejudice, racism in the community of which they moved to. And they didn't expect that. And it's really hurting their heart. And it's maybe impairing their living experience because they're not going out amongst the people as much or not doing certain things because of that feeling and that experience. And we say that that is definitely present in the world, but it's not in everyone. And you need not let it be in you. So you realize that there's this group of people and they've got their belief and where they are in their consciousness. And you say, okay, that's their experience. My experience, I choose love. I choose a loving experience. I choose to love myself. I choose to open freely. I choose to allow myself to experience in the field of love and not focus on hatred, not focus on the imbalanced energy of that which is holding separation in their heart. I choose to be one who moves in oneness, understanding that there are always those that are of an awareness at a particular point that may not match where I am, or I may not match where others are, because we're on this, we can think of it as like a spectrum of awareness. We're at all different points. We're all at points. We're all consciousness having an experience, which means we're aware. So we're not at the same point. Doesn't make one less than the other. It just means we're experiencing a different reality. So we can say, yes, those individuals that are holding that reality of racism and separation, it's real. They're holding it. And I am of the understanding of oneness. So I'm going to stay right where I am. And I'm going to hold love in my heart. And I'm going to open up and say, I send this love to them, that they may, when they are in readiness, and I understand that may not be today, but I know that healing is afoot. I know that it's coming. I know it's on the agenda and it's going to come. It's not here right now, but as we evolve, it will. So I'm going to not harbor within myself prejudice, racism. I'm not going to harbor hatred. I'm going to say, I choose love. I choose to love myself by I am going to enter into the world and do what it is I choose to do. I let no other define me. I let no other take my power. I don't give it away. I hold it inside of me. I am a sovereign being. And I am of the awareness of oneness. And I choose to turn away from separation and not get caught up in it and spin in that. I choose to rise above. It said that we do not solve a problem on the level of which it's created. We can't possibly, because that like energy attracts like energy, and we just spin. We have to rise above. When there's conflict, someone must rise above. And when we rise above, now we create an opening. Now we create the energy that feel that we can move in with light. We can move in with love. So I bring love to the situation. So I just wanted to stress that know that we can't eradicate it. We don't have a wand that we can wave and say, you know what, everyone's going to be peaceful and loving. That's the true nature of our being. That's what we're discovering when we choose the path of self-discovery. Not everybody's choosing it, and we know that. Not everybody's choosing it, but it's available. It's a potential. And I can guarantee you that it will be chosen at some point. We just don't know when that point arises. So we need to be okay with that and say, yes, it will happen for them. But right now, their sandbox is over there. My sandbox is over here. I'm not hating them because they are of a vibration, a frequency that is low. I'm understanding they are where they are and they have the right to be there. I hope that makes sense. And know that as we evolve, that will no longer be an issue. But right now it is. It's very much an issue. And the reason that it's so prevailing is because it has to come up so that it can be viewed, so that we can understand we must love. We must be projecting love into the world every day, every moment of every day. Once we're aware that we have the capacity to do that, it's our responsibility to do that so that we can raise the frequency so that we can evolve. We can expand in our consciousness. And we're not allowing ourselves to be held back by the lower frequency, by fear, by fear. We step into the light. We are in the light. We are love. That's where we remain. We don't go outside of that. If we find ourselves being pulled out, we go, oh, here's the pull. Let me jump right back in. And that's our responsibility to do so. Jump back in. Be that love in the world. Every action, every thought, every deed done in the field of love. That's how you know you're awakening. That's how you know you're evolving. That's how you know you're coming closer and closer to the mastership of this physical form. That's a goal of which we might not even be aware that we hold, but we hold it. Everyone has inside of them that calling to return to the oneness. Through the experiencing of life, we return. And I hope that makes sense. The next question addressing the book for somebody that's just beginning on the path, they want to open up. They've got a lot of beliefs and experiences through some religious teaching, and they'd like to move beyond that to get a deeper understanding of God, which some people have a reaction to that word. And it's a word, it's a descriptor. It is not a man on a cloud. It's just a word used to define in our human form because it's beyond definition. Nobody can define the allness of God. That is the infinite intelligence. That is nature. That is love. That's what it is. But we use words, and one of them is God. So for the conversation with God is the book, book 1. It's written by a gentleman named Neil Donald Walsh. Neil Donald Walsh. Okay, Conversation with God, book 1. It's a great, gentle introduction. A beautiful way to open. And I think they'll enjoy that. Now, for one who's a little bit further along, they want to know more about the truth of their being. And this is the one with my spiritual coaching clients, the one is required reading for my clients. I have them read This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of the Mind. It's this classic work, This Thing Called You. Now, this is not a book you read one time. This is a book that you read over and over and over and over again. Remember, repetition is how we learn, how we grow. So both of those books are my recommendation for this week for the 2 individuals who asked for that. And then to address the next question, and Sherry, I see, what do you feel when you connect with my energy? Anything in general? Sherry, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I will I will be happy to do that. Let me just get through this question, and then we'll go ahead and check in on your energy. I'm surprised that people are asking that, but I love it. I love it. And it's something we can do. So do hold with me here. So, how do I know the messages I'm receiving are true and from higher consciousness? Now, this question came in, and I went back into my files because I addressed this question many years ago, and I love the response. So, I'm just going to read the response. So, bear with me as I'm looking down and reading this. For those of you that are just listening to the audio, you don't get to watch my funny face reading it. But here we go. It says, we ask you to allow this message to come forth to your heart. Yes, we are all here. We are all one with God, the creator of all. Yes, we are love. We are of the light. We are the light. We are all one. Dear one, the voice of oneness is that of love without conditions. Love abounds and is free to flow in and around all. It is not so that one must feel pain or discomfort to learn a lesson, unless they make that choice. Messages given are to guide and support and are always free of judgment and expectations. Guidance is the free flow of love, which is to be felt within, felt in the heart, in the body, a feeling of warmth, a feeling of connection, tears rolling down your cheeks. That's you connected, which causes a stir or a call to action. It is not so at any time that one must feel pain or discomfort, as both are conditions of the mind. Love is not within the mind. It speaks to and through the heart of all. Now, let us discuss pain, as it is often related to change. When lessons are presented, they are given based on the need determined by the receiver. It is that the receiver who deems it necessary to enter into events or actions which hold the potentials for pain or discomfort to be present within. It is not, and this is stressed, it is not the purpose of any message from a higher source to cause one discomfort or pain. As a higher source is operating within the band of love frequencies. Remember, dear one, the decision to change or not to change any action or event lies only with you. So it would be you who would call forth the opportunity to experience what you wish to be. When one is calling forth an experience to seek change, it is for a specific purpose, and guidance may then be given to assist the individual in realizing their lesson. This is a process of expressing one's inner essence. Guidance is to guide, it is never to determine a path, set a judgment, or look for a specific result. These are the workings of the mind and not the higher frequencies of the heart. When receiving messages, there are questions that all need to ask. We would like to suggest a few goodies here. So when receiving the message, ask, how does it feel? Does it speak to your soul? Do you feel the love present? And most importantly, is the message empowering the receiver or the messenger or those presenting the message? Who's empowered here? That's what you ask yourself. These are the questions that are to be asked of all serving as messengers. So when you're serving as a messenger, ask the question that which I'm speaking, that's what I'm sharing, does it meet that criteria? Does it bring the individual back to themselves? Or does it have them seeking outside of self? All are one. Each is at their individual point of remembrance and is in constant communication with their soul for guidance. Whether we realize it or not, that communication is ongoing. It is that we say to all, trust in you, for you know the way. Let it be that all sit within their heart center, for you are to discern what is correct for your experience. You are to discern. New year, new you. Do you know who you are? You are to discern. We're in the process of reaching the sovereignty of our being. We must discern. We must feel within us what is correct for us and listen to others, their opinions if you choose to, but then at the end of the day, step away, sit quietly, and feel what feels right for you. Don't just take what somebody's told you. Masters teach. The teaching is always to train the student to seek within the temple of God. It rests within all. This is what is the greatest lesson. As Jesus the Christ said over 2,000 years ago, the kingdom is within, not without, within. It is where you are to meet yourself within your power. There is never a need to give your power to another or to look to increase your power from without, as all are held safely within, waiting for you to behold what truly is. We say these words to once again demonstrate the path is always within. Be careful of mind traps. It is with the greatest love that we present this lesson, as all are one, with you, as you are one with us. We know pain and discomfort are of the mind, called Maya, illusion. And we seek to present our words to provide the tools to work within the heart, not the mind. Love, the voice of oneness. So, that being said, new year, new you. Know who you are. You are divine love, present here in a physical body, experiencing life, working your way back to the oneness, which you've never really left in absolute truth, but you believe you're separate. And because you believe it, it is. And I had this most remarkable experience today. I'll share from one of my calls with a coaching client this morning. And we're going through something that she's holding inside of her. And she identified a feeling. And the feeling was, and there were two things that she came up with. And it says, I will not, and then da, 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 da. I'm not going to release her personal information. But there were two, I will not. And I said, I'm going to write that down. And I said, I'm going to write it as you stated it. I will not, and then da, 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 da. And as I'm talking to her, a few minutes later, I looked down at my paper and I said, I've got to share this with you. I wrote down the statements, but they don't hold the not. It is I will, I am. Not I am not, but I could not even write the word not. It came out automatically. I thought and believed in my conscious mind that I wrote I will not. But when I read it, not was not present. So that's years and years of positive affirmations, prayer, spiritual work, and it's embodied. So the word not doesn't even hold in vibration. Like vibration attracts like vibration. So know that. That is a demonstration of the law in action, the law of love. And with that, I'll close for this evening by sharing with Sherry on what I feel when I connect with your energy. Okay. I get right off the bat, Sherry, I get a sense of busyness. Okay. I get very busy. Okay. Let me tune in. A sense of busyness, a sense of I've got to be active. I got to be active. I got to be active. A lot of energy. Mhm. Mm. So you are tuning in. You are tuning in. You are connecting. You are connecting, making some deep connection there. You've got some deep angelic connection there. You've got some good energy flowing through. And that's good. You've got an open heart. Sherry, you have the heart of a healer. You have the heart of somebody that wants to help, that wants to heal. You've got the natural inclination to do so. So know that. It's a matter of trusting yourself, and to release the fear within of that holding of that's because I am making myself available. Now some harm could come to me. Does that make sense? I have to see your feedback. So it's opening up, allowing the self. I also see and feel a lot of children, young energy around you, a lot of young energy around you. So that could be helping children, helping others, helping children. There's a very caring, loving heart. It could be helping the children. We are all children of God, but I see young souls, helping young souls with direction with young souls. Want to really the feeling inside is I really want to make a difference. I really want to make a mark. I want to help these who don't understand. I want to provide a deeper understanding. So I want to put that out there, into the field. Sherry, are you writing a book? I have to wait for your response. No. Okay. Have you thought of it? Has that crossed your mind? Have you felt that inside of you? Because that's a great possibility for you. And that's a way of which you can take your energy, you can really harness that and make a difference. But you probably don't have time because you're very busy. Got busy energy there. Or busy in the mind, very busy in the mind. The mind likes a lot of thoughts, thinking, analyzing, creative. I hope that's beneficial to you, Sherry. Mm. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me this evening. I hope this helps. Yes, the busy in the mind. Yes, yes, yes. Well, what's busy in the mind is going to find its way into creative expression. So, may not be there yet, but trust me, it's coming. All right. So, I'm going to say goodnight for now and hopefully see you next Thursday evening, same time, same location. Be well, be with your own energy. Remind yourself who you are. Allow that to grow deeper within you. Step into the field of love, plant your feet firmly, and if you choose, make it your choice to remain there. Because only you can do it. No one can do it for you. And the more of us that do, the more the world shifts into the positive reflection of love. And so it is. Thank you. Good night.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.